So sorry,
John, share it, man.
I lost connectivity. Don't know what happened to my internet. Huh? So we are back.
Okay, welcome.
Zipporah,
Yes.
have you served the tea
Yes.
already?
Don't know.
Thank you for entertaining them. So we go on. I don't know what happened to my network. I just flipped off and I lost you guys. I'm even trying to trace where the notes were. Are we back? Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see.
Well, I was talking about the evaluation of inventory, and I was saying just as the International Accounting Standard 2 stipulates or requires, we are supposed to value our opening inventory in the farm accounts at the lower of cost or net realizable value. And we are doing this in line with prudence concept. You don't want to overstate or understate the value of inventory, because they will be key when it now comes to the getting the net profit. So to avoid overstating or understating, I was saying that if for example it is livestock, your livestock, the cow itself, if it's a dairy cow, that will be your opening inventory. Now we have a difference between if you are doing dairy farming and you are using the cow to crop. For example, if you go to Embu, someone will buy a cow, not necessarily for milk, but they will do it purposely they'll buy the cow to do the farming. So I want you to understand me correctly. If the cow is used for farming the crops, it is a fixed asset. If the cow is used for producing milk, it is an inventory. Is that clear? So I'm saying, like, if you are doing the dairy farming, the cow in itself is stock because you are using that cow to get your daily sales. But if the cow is purposely bought to be doing the plowing in the wheat farm or in the rice farm, that cow is a fixed asset. And I've said when we are valuing the cow as an inventory, if we don't have the prevailing market value or the net realizable value, we take 75% of the market value. If we don't have the current value of the crops that you want to value for opening inventory, we value them at 85% of the market value. Kindly note that. So livestock that are kept for crop purposes, they are fixed assets. Those livestock that are meant for production, they are trading items, so they are inventory. I think that is clear. So the other item that you are supposed to identify here in the farm accounts is the miscellaneous items of drawing, because they should be clearly recorded. Now, apart from the cash drawing, I've said there are instances where the farmer will eat the crops they are producing. Or let's say you are in poultry farming, and you eat, let's say, 2 eggs. You are supposed to deduct that as a drawing because the purpose of rearing the poultry was not subsistence. If from the cow, you normally take 1 liter a day to consume in your household, I'm supposed to be seeing drawing reflecting in your accounts because the purpose of that cow was trading, not subsistence. Now, we are not concerned with subsistence here. If, for example, you are keeping a fish pond and one evening you decide to take ugali with the fish and you go fish, you are supposed to consider that as a drawing because the purpose of the fish pond was for trading purposes. Are we together? So you are supposed to debit the drawing accounts And of course, you credit the other account that is affected. If it is crops, we are supposed to see Sukuma Wiki account, 50 shillings. Poultry account, 20 shillings, being the worth of, let's say, 2 eggs, etc. Similarly, the other item that is not considered, I was talking about the labor. Maybe you have paid some workers in kind. Paying in kind means you are paying them, instead of giving them money where an expense is realized, you pay them with food. And it happens. So you are going to debit the wages account and you credit the crops account. But you see, you are debiting the wages account with the amount paid in kind. If, for example, today, instead of paying me my 200 shillings worth of labor, I carried, let's say, 4 gallons of wheat. The value of wheat will be equated with labor. So I'm going to debit the wages account and credit the wheat account. Are we there? So expenses or incomes associated with farm activities have to be recognized because they are for trading purposes. This is, I don't know, let me try to, and they are here, some of the, and this is merely common sense. The good thing about farming, you can easily tell now the items. For example, if you are doing poultry farming, your possible expenses will be the cost of chicken. So this is for inventory, cost of the chicken feed, cost of drugs, if you are immunizing them or vaccinating them, cost of hay, packing boxes, fuel, heating, etc. Those are expenses. On the other side, on the credit card side, we have the sales of eggs, sales of chicks. If you are doing brooding, the sale of chicks will be your sales, broiler, hens, etc. Or the sale of poultry excrement, the manure. There are those people who will sell you a bag of manure at 300 shillings. And farmers do buy because they want to do it for, trading purposes. They want to go and put it in the crops to increase the yield. For the daily, for dairy farming, this could be, or these are the possible expenses. They are there. So cattle feed, hay, cost of cultivating. So you can see it's explicit, it's obvious. Now the possible sources of income will be sale of milk or its product, sales of calves. We have sale of slaughtered cattle, stud fee charges. Now we have those people who rear bulls specifically for siring. So a stud animal will be registered or retained purposely for breeding. If you are keeping animals, for example, you are rearing bulls and they are for slaughtering, you will not consider them as stud animals. And these are some of the dynamics of the miscellaneous expenses of the cattle. So I've kept some bulls for slaughtering, but I didn't castrate them. I'm not supposed to consider them as stud bulls. Are we there? But if it is a stud bull that could be hired even to the outsiders, instead of doing the artificial insemination services, someone come for my bull and I charge them, let's say 500 shillings to go and sire their cows. I'm going to recognize that as an income. Basically, whatever that animal is giving you in exchange of you feeding it or taking care of it is an income. Then of course you have the fisheries. The expenses are there. They are in your notes. You can check them. So let's have an illustration and see how it pans out. So you have an illustration there. We have the information and you've been asked to prepare a cattle account. So you have the opening stock. We have 90 cows worth 900,000, closing stock 60 worth. So you can see, so somewhere we expect that there were some cows that were either purchased or there were some cows that gave birth to calves. That's what will make the closing inventory to go up. Then you have the purchases of the cattle during the year, blah, blah, all the way. And you've been asked to prepare a cattle account. Supposed to illustrate there. So can you take the image of that? Don't know whether it's possible to minimize. And then open the So I'm trying to see whether we can work on a multi even misbehaving. So what can you see on my screen? Can you see both the workbook and the question?
No.
What are
I
you
can
seeing?
only see the question. Only the question.
The question.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want you to cover that question. Who can advise us on the easiest way to go about it? I'm trying to share the two screens. To see whether Zoom has that feature. Can you share both the where are the IT gurus? Can you share both the award and an Excel? Is it possible? Are you able to gather the information that is on the screen? What can you see on your screen? Can someone guide me? What are you seeing on your screen?
I'm still seeing the question.
The question.
I'm asking, can you save the question on your end? Well, I don't know even why that is bothering us. Well, you are supposed, in our working, this is simple. I've said when you are working, we know the items that are supposed to be debited and the items that are supposed to be credited, isn't it? So for example, so I want you in your worksheet. Have you opened a worksheet? You have a book and a pen? Because I want us to go together.
Yes.
So just in the normal way, we are going to have the debit and the credit. Right? And you said that expenses are debited, income items are credited. There are people who will still not get this. I'm saying we have this kind of a presentation. So we have we are doing the Staccato account. So I can merge these cells. So I'm saying on the debit side, So this is our DR, and this is our CR. The easiest way to split them. So I'll have the item here, and I'll have the amount. Now we have even the number. So let me just add a column. So I'll have the number of kettle, and then I have the amount. Just want to show us how to navigate on this window. So I'm saying we have our opening stock. What's the figure for opening stock? Our figure for opening stock, we had 50 cows. And the amount is 900,000. Are you getting what I want us to do on your end? Tuko pamoja? Are we together? Sasa hata ule jamaa alikuwa anaongea na mimi amenyamaza, isn't it?
It's 900, not 90,000.
Yes?
It's 900,000.
900,000.
Yeah.
So do you have the question somewhere?
I have a screenshot.
You have a screenshot. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that is what I expect us to have, so that apparently I'm able to see the two screens on my end, but I cannot share. I just want this column here. Because illustrating is key. And then I have the amount. So we have the opening stock brought forward. It's 900,000. So on the credit card side, we are going to have the items of income. For instance, we've been told that there are sales. What was the number of sales? Sales. We've been told that we sold sales of live cattle during the year. 95 cattle are sold at a cost of 2,120,000. You have that?
Yes.
You have that figure?
Yes, I have that.
So we now go together in the interest of time. So I'll be reading us, then we say which item is, which side is affected, whether the debit or the credit, right? So we've been given the closing stock of livestock, that will come at the end, so forget about it. You are going to take it later when you are closing that account. Then we have the purchases of cattle during the year. We purchased 110 at a cost of 2,050,000. So we are going to have the purchases. How many? 110 at a cost of 2,050,000, right?
Yes.
We go on. Then the third item, the fourth item is sale of live cattle, the year 95 at a cost of 2,120,000 recorded. We have sale of slaughtered cattle. the year 6 at a cost of 120,000. Yeah, we go on. Then it's followed by sale of carcasses. Some animals died and they were sold, and they are worth 10,000. So
4.
that is the figure of sale. Then we have cut-off food,
10,000.
10,000. Yeah, 10,000 it is. Then we have cut-off food. That is an expense. Cut-off food is worth 180,000. Then we have wages for rearing cattle. Wages for rearing cattle. So there are those employees who are working in the farm, is a cost. So we are paying them 45,000.
Yes.
Then we've been told slaughterhouse expenses. So we have the slaughterhouse expenses. Let me just call them SE in the interest of time. And they are costing 5,000. Then down there, we've been told crop worth 50,000 was grown on the farm and used for feeding cattle. Are we there? So we are growing crop worth 50,000 and
Yes.
they are used for feeding cattle. So we are going to debit the cattle account and we are going to credit the crop account, right? So you have crop account here.
Yes.
Those are the contra entries I was talking about. Some of the entries will be contra. They'll have a double entry system, but most of them don't have because it's merely an expenditure item. So we are going to have the 50,000. What else do we have? And that's all.
The last one, which is saying out of the calves born, 2 died and their carcasses fetched shillings 1,000.
Ah, wonderful. So out of the calves born, 2 died. So we have the sale of a carcass of 2 calves. Kindly indicate the number. And we are selling them at a cost of 1,000. At a cost of 1,000. That's all?
1,000.
Is that all?
Yes.
So from there now, the
that's
figure
all.
that is remaining now is a closing stock figure, isn't it? Because you need to account for the livestock that will be there next year for the next year of trading. So we've been told that our figure for closing stock is, we had left it up there, it's 60, and they are being valued at 1,100,000. So there we are. So the difference will be our profit. If it is a credit difference, it will be a loss. If it is a debit difference, of course, it will go to the general P&L as a profit. So here we have the totals. Here 3,351,000. On this end, we have 3,230,000. So we have 3 million on this end. So is equals to the sum of all these. So you can copy this figure here. It is 3,351,000. So the figure here will be equal to this cell. We subtract now the sum of these cells. So this is our net profit figure. So this will go to the income and expenditure account, or the P&L. So I think that is clear. It's not totally clear, it's simple, isn't it? Is that so
Yes.
sophisticated?
Very clear.
It is clear. Suppose we maintained our standards as the accounting students, because you could still use the vertical method. I was doing this for purposes of illustration. You can still use the vertical method to illustrate now the income statement. Yeah, you can just do it here. So this is our income statement. And the figures, they'll just be the figures that are indicated there. So you have the sales. On this one, now we start with the credit amounts. Our sales is 2,120,000. Yeah. Then followed by the slaughtered cattle. They were 6 in number. So these figures, isn't it? So it's followed by the slaughtered cattle, the carcasses. So we are going to have the figures here. Tuko pamoja kila mtu. Are the calves supposed to be there? Are the calves supposed to be there? You are not sure. So you have these slaughtered cattle.
Everything on the credit side umesema inaenda to the nini?
Not everything. Jackie, let's
But also
think on our feet.
that's
These are-
income.
These accounting, these are facts. I'm asking whether the figure for the calves is supposed to be illustrated there.
To me, I think it is supposed to be illustrated because it does income. It has fetched.
It has fetched income.
Yes.
We have sales of calves. It's debatable. Then from there, we are supposed now to have the cost of sales. What are our cost of sales? You have the opening inventory, which is 9,000. So you put it on this column. Then from there, we have the purchases, what we purchased. The purchases were worth 2,050,000, right?
Yes.
Then we have the cattle food. What was the value of the cattle food? 180,000.
Yes.
180,000.
Do you have any other item of sales? Cost of goods available for sale, do we? So we don't have.
Don't have.
So we less our closing stock. What's the figure for closing stock? It is 1,000,000.
1,100,000.
Yeah,
100,000.
1,100,000. And this is yeah, closing. So should be netted off. So it's a minus. So what do you get as a figure here? We add them, we are getting 203. not 203, 2,030,000, right? So 2 million, let me just put it here, 2,030,000.
Yes.
So that's the figure that we are getting.
10 million.
So that's our, to get the figure for gross profit. So our gross profit will be, this figure, we subtract this figure. So this should be also negative for the purpose of using Excel. So we are getting 221. So our gross profit figure is 221,000. Then we less our expenses. So the expense items, give me the expense item.
Wages.
We have wages. What's the value for wages?
45,000.
5,000. Then we got the value for slaughterhouse.
Slaughterhouse.
Okay, 5,000.
So you have slaughterhouse expenses, which is 5,000. What else do we
Yes.
have?
Yes.
Cut-off feed.
We have the cut-off feed. We have that feed that was used to the one that was coming from the crop account, isn't it?
2,000.
50,000. So this is giving us 100,000. So our net profit is 121,000. Are good?
Yes.
So basically, we just transferred the figures that were on the other side to this book to now to illustrate it in a vertical format. Any question? So we are getting the same figure, the 121,000. I'll go back to the notes. So I'll stop sharing that and bring the notes. And I have an illustration here for you. Can take it to one page. Can you do this? Can just use the capital T enlarged method. Later on, you can try the vertical. The good thing about the capitalized method, you are able to get the answers to straight. Can you see the question on your screen?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
waiting for the figures. Just add them and give me the.
Yes.
I'm waiting for the answer on this end. So have we gotten the net profit figure? Vivian Atieno, are we together? Rose Nderito,
Yes.
we have Judy Nzioka. I'm waiting for the figure of the net profit, guys, for the Camel account. Is there any contentious entry? It's more or less like the latter, isn't it?
Mm. Mm. Okay. Mm-hmm.
The only figure there that seems contentious is you can see we have some clothes in stock for the camel food. That will be on the credit hand side. It's a clothes in stock anyway. So the other entries are obvious. Who is able to get the net profit? Jackie, are you about? Jackie, I'm talking to you.
Yes.
Are you about?
Uh-huh.
Give us the figure. See the advantage of face-to-face. I could be telling those people who are about. You don't even need to write all that story. You can do that later. I just want you to have the figure on this side and on this side. You add them together and you give us the totals.
The net profit is 2,557,500.
Wonderful. So that's where we are. If you look at the portal, I want us to go and there's some equation that I've put in the portal. I want us to attempt together. It's a requirement that we work from the portal for purposes of keeping the records. So can you go to the portal and work on the question in the portal? Any
Yes.
question? I want to stop
Yes.
sharing. Any question from your end? Any question?
Sir, it's a concern, and it's about the recordings. They have not yet been uploaded.
I'll follow it up with the ZDS director. They should be uploaded. Yeah, I understand
Okay,
you are. I understand that you are very busy doing there are special exams. You will not understand if you are not taking them, but it had tied most of the time. But I'll follow it up. Sawa.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Class imeisha.
Yes, imeisha.
Sawa.